Hello, Nicholas.
Elvire, nice to be sitting with you.
Yeah, welcome.
Thank you. So we've been connected now for 2 years, I think, with
I think a little bit longer, 3 years,
Yeah,
almost.
with Ident2B.
Yeah,
We
in the beginning.
met at Pravada a number of years ago, and Ident2B at that time was a very small team doing incredible things
But with lots of developers in
with
the back.
lots of developers, but
Nobody sees them, but they do a lot of work.
yeah, and you guys are evolving very quickly.
Yeah.
So I thought it would just be a really nice moment to kind of take a step back from all that crazy development work and all the things that you're doing. And we're really looking at profiling stories and businesses and people within the collective, but also, in the general industry of real estate and smart building and technology. So I really wanted to sit down with Elvire Roovers for the first interview of this kind, I would say.
Okay.
And start a little bit from the beginning. Where did your passion for this industry come from? Where did the passion for the smart building side of things? But I think you're much more on a impact and value and driven by a result kind of perspective. So let's kind of start from the beginning. Where did your journey start, I would say?
The beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's primary school, isn't it?
Always.
That's where it all starts, where we learn to write and interact with people. And so it started with one of my first projects I did on Darwin, actually. So evolution for me is very important. It's always been, and I was always interested in that. And also how to evaluate, actually. And I'm looking to the nature, but I'm also looking to business. How are things growing and how can we predict how they grow? So that's where it started in the beginning of the days, yeah, with me. And afterwards, I've been doing, of course, my high school and going to technical school, construction engineering. After construction engineering, I always think, everybody needs to have a roof above his head. And then I think it's the human being, which is the most important for me. I'm always looking at that perspective. How does the human being interact with his surroundings and how does it work? So that's the whole red thread through my also real estate career. Yes.
And the construction, the engineering and construction pathway took you directly into real estate.
Yeah, well, in the beginning, it took me into real estate, but more from the perspective of how to construct, how to make the buildings, really the technical part of that. Which rules do we have and the differences between the rules in Europe and in other countries. I've been working in France with monuments also. I was always asking myself, why are we building new buildings? Well, we're having a lot of old buildings to reuse. And I think the old buildings are beautiful. Why we should tear them down and not reuse them. So that's also a thing which has interested me a lot. I've been working in France and then there you have these big manor houses and castles. How to use them and make them available for also profit reasons. So most of the time castles and big land houses, they are so expensive to exploit that the old families, they sold them for like 1 franc français at that time. And you couldn't make them profitable. So that's where I'd start to think about how can we make things profitable, not tearing them down and starting all over again, but reusing what we have. And so I started to think about how to make expectations to do so. So not only about, we are building and we will have a tenant and the tenant will come and we sign a contract and then we go to the next project developing, but we are going to see if this building is going to be available for a group or specific group. So I've been developing, for example, for care industry or childcare industry or for medical centers. And it's all groups of people who have the same interest. And then I would say, okay, this building could be used for this, or the opposite. There's a group which needs a way of working, and what kind of roof do they need? So that's where I came into real estate plus, I always call it. And then from that point on in my life, I've been developing real estate, but also developing the organization. And after a while, the organization is like a company. And I've always see that, of course, financially, you see these two things different. So the real estate needs to be having a return on investment in the end, and needs to be a part where you can invest in, needs to gain a certain percentage over the years. But for the company, they just need to have an environment where they can work and be profitable as well from their perspective, and how to match these two. And I've been always on that surface of the boat. Yeah.
Wow. So, I mean, it's kind of like looking at the future of real estate already a number of years back, but looking at creative concepts of how to use them differently for shared amounts of people.
Yeah. And also to look, what do you need to make real estate being used?
Yeah.
So how can I have an old castle to be used?
Yeah.
And to be used that much that it's going to be profitable. And that was a very, very hard task to do.
And it's interesting because in the Netherlands, right, if you look at all these big manors, those big houses that you were talking about in France, in France, they kind of sell them for cheaper, and then hopefully they get a couple or a family, now YouTubers, to renovate them and to, make them, hospitable places for wedding plannings and that kind of stuff. But in the Netherlands, I think what we've seen is actually most of them have been taken over by offices, right? Where it's shared spaces or working with different concepts.
I've had different concepts for these kind of real estate objects. It depends on the object. It depends on where it's situated. It depends on the target group you are involved with. So, yeah, there's different. These days, people want to go to work with public transport. So if you have a castle in the middle of nowhere, it's going to be difficult. So you have to take that all in account to see for what kind of exploitation it will be suitable, and if it's suitable, what is needed. And then kindergarten needs something else as the medical center, it needs something else as an office. But in the end, we are all users of buildings, and we all need to work there, and we all need to have enough profit to pay the rent.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, we were out.
It all comes down to the yield per square meter.
Yeah. We, as a side note and on a tangent, we were out on a hike and we saw this incredible like castle type here in the Netherlands, and it was converted to an office. And one of the employees or the people that work there came out and was just going for a walk as well. We said, "Oh my God, it must be so amazing to work in this environment." He says, "Yeah, the connectivity sucks."
Exactly.
Can't do anything with it.
So then you have that problem.
Yeah, the whole thing kind of falls over.
And then you have to be open for new innovative solutions, of course. And I've always been, I think, looking around, what possibilities do we have?
Yeah.
And there's always a solution. Yeah. There's always a party who is really fitting into that building. So, and if we need to decide to, of course, we are growing and we have more people living in the Netherlands and in Western Europe, and we are a wealthy part of the world. So we always have to, also calm down a little bit and look. Then if we are giving the example to how it should be, we should be very careful how we do this.
Yeah, I completely agree. So when you were building these kind of real estate 2.0 concepts of different things, what is the kind of the common challenges, and you would see, or the unique challenges in realizing something like that, something newish?
The common challenges for realization of real estate and to do project development is communication. To have an open view to possibilities and to listen to each other and to be really honest. I've seen some projects where we see like people with great ideas, and they will give a commission to an architect, and he makes a great solution. But in the end, there's no money to do that fantastic entry area or something like that. It all comes down to the square meter again. So I think the common thing is to be realistic and to see if it in the end is feasible. What I've experienced is that people don't take enough time for the pre-work on a project and on an idea. But if you do the pre-work really well, if you are solid in taking account all the stakeholders and all the people who need to gain also out of the whole project, then everybody will be alive in the end.
Yeah.
And if we are all alive in the end, it's successful. Yeah.
Yeah. So the themes that I pull out of that is the human piece is critically important. The communication amongst people and getting everybody on the same page.
Yeah. Yeah.
Feasibility. So financial is a big one, of course. And
Yeah.
making it, monetarily interesting.
In the end, it's always the money, of course. We have the red thread.
Yeah.
So feasibility is it's logic, isn't it? Every project we do, and it doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now you've moved into a space, I guess, from the challenges that you saw, seeing that technology plays a role in that challenge or that evolution, I would say.
Yes.
So how did you get to that conclusion, and where did that conclusion take you in a way when it comes to tech? Because you've been talking about it for a while now, and
yeah. Well, the first thing why technology is a part in the real estate world is because I'm a little bit older now. So when I was young, we were talking about bricks and about installations. You see the evolution. Here you go again. The evolution of real estate is of course the money-drivenness and the international part playing a big role in it. Sustainability is of course very important, and you see now people are more and more important. But where we end now is that you see, in the beginning it was the architect, it was the bricks, it was the idea, and we had always a tenant. Then you got the installations. There was like, I think, a balance of 70% of the amount we would invest would be bricks, I would say, and 30% installation. Now you see Technique developing the last 15, 20 years that the leverage is different. It's like, I would say, I was talking to an installation company lately, I would say 65-35, but now they say, no, we go to 50-50. We go to 50-50 bricks, 50 installations. And if we see the development of all the digitalization in the world, and of course the data, and what we do with all the data we are collecting everywhere, we cannot ignore there is a digitalization process going on, and that's just experience. I think that's just what I see happening, and this is the evolution, and we cannot ignore this evolution. And if we cannot ignore it, I rather take it in account seriously. We've been developing lots of construction techniques. We can build office buildings where in pieces of the world where we have earthquakes. I mean, we can develop, of course, more techniques to that. But I think we've got enough techniques now to cover for a while. Installation technically, I think same thing. If we talk about sustainability and all the solutions we have, and to make sure we use our energy sources well enough, and to be clear, we have all the techniques. But now the next level is, how do we connect all the techniques to make it efficient and to take everything that we are going to gain, what we are expecting to gain. Yeah. So it's just an evolutionary step, I guess.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean,
taking the human being in account, the guy who's just walking into the building, I mean, or the girl. Yeah, I think that it needs to have a good feeling, and it needs to be safe. For sure. I think that's the next step.
Yeah. So say more about that. Like, what were you missing when you went on your exploration or your journey for finding the technical solution that would solve your challenges? What were you actually looking for?
Well, it's the same thing, I guess. Like 25 years ago, like I think everybody knows already, because we do have these technologies. We do read in the newspapers. We do see AI. We do see different ways of using AI and implementing AI, and we see the world changing. But there's no overview. There's nobody who has an overview. Nobody who has the real expertise. And I think the real expertise does not exist. I think the expertise will be the experience of the future, and we at the most we can try to experience and to reflect on that and to try to compensate or to make it better for the next step. So we are quite upfront for all these developments at the moment. So we should try to make the best out of that and do share our experiences and be open and communicate again what I tried to say before. When is a project successful and what is the key thing is the communications, but it's also to have the secureness that you can be open and that you can talk about all your hesitations or all your things you want to reflect on without being attacked or without being put in a sense of more or less competition. We should share the knowledge and make the best outcome work. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think I take that to heart when you say that everybody that nobody has the truth, right? That it's all kind of spread out, and I think that the more we as society and consciousness keep trying to find the truth, we're building more and more complexity of what it is, right? Like even if you look at the EU regulations that are out there, right? There's so many going on right now that how do I know what to focus on and what to work towards? It becomes really, really challenging.
Yes.
During COVID, it was all about, no touch technologies, air quality. We all became air quality experts all of a sudden about CO2 levels and these types of things.
Yeah, everybody was sustainable suddenly.
Yeah, and now we've moved to energy. And,
we are beyond energy already.
Yeah, we're already moving towards, absolutely.
For me, it's now speed and security.
Yeah.
Because if we see what are we moving up to, what is the next step? I don't know. We've been in London in a workshop, and somebody told me there's like sustainability in 2015 and there's a Sapiens in 2020, and I think what's then the next step? Next step should be speed, because we are all in a world where we have to make quick decisions. If you see what we have to deal with today, with all the things happening in the world. Everybody's looking at each other, but the one who's making it is the one who's making the next step.
Yeah.
And we should cover that person to make the next step. But who are you covering and what is the right step? I think for digitalization, we do not really know what is going to happen. And that's a common thing. We have this. Everybody has the same problem. We do not really know what's going to happen. We can look into the future. There's a few wise men in the world who are studying this all day long, so they can tell us. So we should listen to them and we should gain information and try to make the best next step.
Yeah, and I think there's a balance there too, right, between speed and overwhelm, right? Because speed can also create overwhelm in the sense that we're dealing with so much information and so many decisions at once that we're seeing burnout rates go through the roof. People are falling over at work.
Yeah, or we see the opposite. I think people are maybe evaluating. Burnout is because of maybe we are trying to understand that something we cannot understand, and we do not accept that the world is changing, and we all want to have what we had, but we do not have what we had. Evolution is about adapting and about changing. And if you want to have fun and be able to get along, you need to adapt, and you need to always change and learn, which is a great thing in life. I think the most important thing. Yeah.
Absolutely. There's a lot to process there as far as but I completely agree with you. I think
but that's a common thing at the moment. Everybody feels that he has to speed up. Everybody feels like there's so many different solutions. There's so many. But in the end, what we talked about is that we all have that phone with all the apps on your phone. So you regulate your whole life from a phone. What's different to your phone tomorrow? It's not going to be different. The apps are going to be different. And you're going to have a choice if you're going to involve in an app or in a certain community or not. It's your choice. So in the end, it's always the human being who's walking into the building, if I have to break it down to that again, who's judging what he's going to use and what he's not going to use. And the difficult thing now is that you need, and that's why I say security is, I think, the next very important step, not sustainability.
Yeah. Oh,
security.
Absolutely.
Sustainable security.
And resilience.
Probably.
And self-resilience.
Yeah.
You know, being able to take control of your own situation.
Yes, and how can you rely on the information? Like half a year ago, everybody would say, yeah, you need to be in the cloud, on a server in the United States. And today we're not, good heavens, no. What do you decide and how do you solve these problems? And we are very relying on our own judgments. But on the other hand, you know, you cannot have all the information as a person on all the subjects all day long, everywhere. So you have to be able to rely on people with knowledge and to sign for that.
Yeah, and find solutions or technologies or platforms that simplify it so that you can more easily
and that
decisions.
you can rely on. That you're not stuck somewhere where you cannot go back, or that if you change your organization or you change your point of view, that you're not stuck in a corner where you can never get out. Or if you maybe you get into some risk area with your company or as a person, you don't want that. But how can we manage that as a person? How can you manage that as a company? It's difficult.
Yeah, and in the smart building certification, we have a module called Maturity of Smart, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's one thing to have these nice to haves, like an air quality sensor that tells you what the air quality is in the space. But it's a whole nother level when your business is reliant on the infrastructure that you put in. And yeah, if that becomes the level that you are from a smart building perspective, then yeah, it better work and the team behind it better be able to support it.
Yeah, you never know what happens, like with that Coldplay concert. You have the guy who was on the camera and he didn't want to be on the camera. Of course, it is a scandal and whatever it is, but you know, you want to be owner of your own systems as a person and of your own data as a person. I think that's the future, that we should be owner without reading all the T's and C's all the time and ticking boxes everywhere, which nobody reads everything and everybody's covering his rights as a company or as a person. Yeah, how to match all these different solutions, it will be very difficult. And I think we need to rely, but you also have to be able always to decide for yourself and take responsibility for yourself.
Yeah. And I think that, that's a brilliant, a few years ago, you found a solution that you liked, right? With Ident2B. And I really like.
It's Rhyzi now, eh?
Yeah, well, that's what we're going to get there, right? But the bridge there is that you all had this fundamental belief that each individual is owner of their own data, their own access, these types of things.
Yeah, that would be a good future, isn't it?
Yeah. So what was it about this platform that you found that you were saying this is the right step? Because you were a fan before you were.
I found the
team,
platform,
right?
and I found a platform through always asking myself a question. We should be able, with this technology and these kind of sources, to arrange solutions much more efficient. And I was always looking for that. In my past, I had developed a nice, I think it's a nice concept of having shared offices, which we all know now. But in the time I started with that, I had this building and I thought, like, how can we make this building have a revenue? How can we point out an organization who's going to be willing and be able to pay a certain rent so we can make a nice composition over here? And in the beginning, we make offices with kindergartens, with fitness and canteens and shared receptionist services, etc. Shared parking spaces, and we would have more tenants in the office when we didn't need the space ourselves. So that's where it all started. That how do I arrange the costs?
How do I facilitate this complexity?
Facilitating is one, because the technology is there. It's always in upfront. We always have technology to do it. But we were the early adapters to do that. So then you have all the different technologies, and then how do you integrate that? And then in the end, if I have this concept, I can copy that more times, and I have a business model. So that's how I started with the Cinderella real estate facilities at that time. And you can do that for different organizations, because a tenant is a tenant, and you can have offices, but you can also have a hospital, and the hospital has diverse divisions.
Yeah.
So it depends on how they calculate in the back, who is paying the rent. And most of the time we are Dutch people, and I think it's everywhere in the world, we don't want to pay for the neighbor. So we can have a basic rent, which is like what we all know, it's your contract with the landlord, and then you have your service costs, it's energy and the gas and whatever the service costs may cover, and then you have the facilities and the rest and the services of the building. How do you share? And at that time, I tried to give a commission to an IT company. It was in the beginning of the SharePoint time to make a program, to develop a program to make an automatic system, how I would be able to bill the different tenants and the different users, because sometimes it was not a tenant but only a user of a meeting room, and he would invite 12 people and he would need 12 parking spaces for only 3 hours. How would I bill that? Invoices, lots of work. I did that all by hand. Yeah. And then you are growing, and we tried to make a sense out of it and to digitalize that. But at that time it was not easy. The digitalization technology was not ready to do so. So I left it. I said, okay, well, I stay in the real estate, in the stones and installations, and in exploiting it. But then afterwards I bumped into Leonard 3 years ago. Leonard started Ident2B at this time about 15 years ago already. And he tried to explain what he was doing. And I said, you don't have to explain to me, because this is exactly what I'm looking for since 12 years. So there was a match immediately. Yeah. Within 3 minutes, we knew, like, okay, so you know about real estate and exploiting and about how it works over there. And he knew everything about developing software and SaaS, which was the perfect match.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's incredible, right? We do a lot of events at co-working spaces and these types of things. And it's happened to me probably 5 or 6 times now, where after we do the event, we don't get an invoice. And then we have to write them a message. Hey, did you send it? We haven't seen the invoice yet.
Yeah.
And then we have to write them again. And then, you know, how many people are willing to write back to say, hey, can I have my invoice? You know, how much loss is created in that just complexity, you know? And I think that you're 100% right, that you need a tool, a flexible tool that deals with different asset classes, different situations, different challenges to manage just practical things like that, you know. And I think as a industry, we're getting a lot further in that process. And I think Ident2B was starting or is doing incredible work there. And then you guys have seen, I mean, so you started with Leonard three years ago. You guys have had incredible success and growth and things that you're doing. And then you recently changed the name even.
Yes, we did.
Why and where did that come from? And where does the new name come from? And
why we changed the name? Well, it came from Ident2B. It came from I identify myself and I am somewhere. So if you want to explain our product exactly, this is spot on. Only the environment, our environment, people, they thought we were identifying like I need to show my driver license or I need to show my passport. And it was too complex to explain.
Privacy.
Yeah. And it was indeed like privacy is a matter, of course, it's a matter of very serious thing in our development of the system. But it just got, not into exactly where we were going to go and what we are doing. So, and we've been thinking a lot, what are we doing? And we are an OS, an operational system. It's a multi-layer platform, operating system, multi-layer operating system, multi-layer platform, multi-users. And we have multi-connectors and multi-ways to connect. So there is, as well as a wide layer, there is also a vertical layer. And it's a whole network, actually, you're covering. And it depends on the one who is having the question, like, what do you want to cover? So we thought we should go more that way to be explaining, to be able to explain what we are doing, because what we are doing sounds very complex, but actually is very simple. We do connect everything what a user is going to be experiencing up till the guy who's managing the real estate. And it depends on what kind of way you are moving into the system, what you want to use first. So we've been thinking and came down to the word rhizome. It's a word which means it's a network, and it's a network you cannot see. The problem of course of software is you never be able to see it. You cannot everybody designs always the hectagons, and it's always the same story, but how to make it visible.
Yeah.
And we think by explaining that it is a network you cannot see, but it's a network you can expand with other networks. So rhizome would be the good word, basic word for that. And Rhyzi is, of course, part of rhizome, and the I in the end means it's multiple. So we can have one network, but we can also combine networks. So that's why we got Rhyzi.
I also like the concept of risers, right? Which are the things in the
Exactly.
floor that create
Yeah.
space for things
Yes.
to flow back and
Yeah.
forth. So I kind of like that definition of it.
Yeah.
I think it's really cool.
But here we do miss, of course, the personal part of the human being in this story.
Yeah.
So we had to make a choice.
It's one of the layers,
It's one of the layers, yeah.
The very important layers.
Yeah.
So what can we expect in the next, little while from you all, and who are you looking to engage with at this moment, and what kind of support can we ask from the community, but also what kind of buildings are you looking to work with?
Well, we are looking to buildings who want to be innovative, who want to open up for digitalization. We choose to work for people who want to innovate and who want to share their solutions, but also their problems and their way of making choices, so we can help them to make the right choice which fits the best for them, not ending up in the corner. And for them, I think the flexibility of our OS is very wide. You cannot go wrong choosing this as a fundamental way to start your digitalization solutions and to gather all your solutions to one point where you can overview and and be able to manage everything from that point of view without losing the connection to the human being and the security in the end. Yeah, so so we are looking for organizations up to, I don't mind that much, organizations who want to be innovative, and we are looking for real estate with more different property technology solutions to integrate.
Yeah.
Most of them start with access management. So when you have access management, you have simply the door locks connected to your gate at the parking place, connected to your elevator, connected to the different levels and to the different access of the property, multi-site or in one building with different tenants. One tenant does not have the same allowance as the other one. So it is easy to explain it with this example for access management. Yeah.
Well, we're excited to see where it goes in the next year, 2 years, 3 years, and
yeah, we get along and then we will work on consolidating and using the techniques which we have at this moment to fully exercise them.
Well, I think what's so nice now is that the industry is kind of moving past that experiment phase, right? It's like
Yeah.
we know what we want, we know what we need to
Yes.
do, we know the tangible value cases that we're after, and now it's just about doing it, and it's about finding the right people, the right teams, the right solutions,
Yeah, but also, and then I really want to say that to open up to each other and be honest about solutions and about what is good and what does it cover for me.
Yeah.
Because it's not one solution for everything. There's always a combination of solutions, and the solution which fits the best for your organization, I think that's what you have to look for.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the only thing you don't want to have is that you have to manage all the securities of different platforms, for example.
Yeah.
You have a whole IT department who has to do that then after a few years. So
Yeah,
it's nice to have one gate through where you can work from.
There's many different roads to Rome, to getting to the results that we're after, but I think that there are some basic fundamentals that are important, right?
Yes.
And that's that connection of all your stakeholders, your organization, your systems, so that we can reduce the complexity, because I think the complexity is what kills now. And it's, I think what we just did a post about it, actually, that we're getting better at implementing tech into buildings for good reason, for good purpose, in alignment with the goals and what we're actually after. But the next thing is really the follow through. Like, how do you get that to continue to live in an organization, and how do you get the governance?
Yeah, and that's where the building stops and where the human being starts using,
Exactly.
and that's exactly where we are, and also where we are going to gain more and more data.
Yeah.
And a data lake is nice, but what are you going to do with that data? Yeah. And then that's the security part of it, and that's also where you as a person want to own your own data.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's interesting, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And that's why I'm going on with this.
Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thank you too. Nice to be a guest.